Workshop video number 2, intro take 2. I lost the first intro, and that really wrecks my day. My phone has been saving multiple clips of video with the same number. So when I uploaded the last batch of video clips, apparently the intro number was used before and it deleted it, which means it's deleted it out of the video, which means all of the audio and little comments and all that is all screwed up because they're on different lines and they slide at different rates. So basically, I got a couple hours to catch up. Anyway, last time we worked on this bench. I have it not dust proof, but just much easier to keep clean, and that was my goal, and just to get started. So a big drawer, I got my clamps in there now. I think I may keep them. This may be permanent. I've got my sandpaper here from my 5-inch sander that I use a lot. I don't know if that's permanent or not. And then the backside is sealed. So that was that part. And over here, I got 4 big drawers under this other table. I've only started loading one of them. I know I mentioned that I was going to put tools in here, but that's not practical. Tools don't need to be stacked on top of each other. I started the process of putting my electrical doodads in one of them, and I just got overwhelmed because there's so many little pieces, so I quit. So is this a monumental project, these little drawers in this ceiling? No, it's not. But to me, it's monumental because it got me started. And sometimes getting started is the hard part. So in this video, we're going to address those white face drawer fronts and the miter saw station and see what we can't do. Okay, another missing video clip. Let's try to make this work. The distance between the drawer side and the carcass is less than an inch, so the glides are not going to work. So what are my options? I can keep the cabinet and build new drawers. I can keep the drawers and build a new cabinet, or I can throw it all away and start over. I like these drawers. They're made out of hardwood. They do have crappy bottoms, but I'm okay with that. So I think I'm just gonna make a new cabinet, use these drawers, and put the full extension hardware in there. And actually, the 2 side pieces are fine. It's just a matter of making different top and bottom and back. And there's no hardware holding this extension on, so I can take my skill saw and just cut it off. And do that in the beginning. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep the drawers, clean them up a little bit. A couple of spots that are coming loose, but considering the wear and tear I put on them, they're very durable. So yeah, the old drawer glides were these little runners, and they're kind of difficult sometimes. Here we go. I got to empty the drawers, at least one cabinet at a time. So this is the router drawer, might be the worst. Well, no, the one on the bottom is the worst. The next drawer down is the nail gun drawer, and it's pretty empty. Checking out my gloves here. I have 2 greens of the same hand. The color is the sizes, so I don't have a pair of those. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 browns of left hands, and I have 1, 2 brown right hands. So I'll match those up. I have 1 black and I have 1 yellow. Oh, I have another brown right hand. So I should be able to make 3 pairs out of all these. These are pretty raggedy. We'll throw that one. Yeah, and I'll bring them to the foundry because I go through gloves over there like super fast, and I don't wear these kind of gloves here, so I don't know why they're here. Well, I didn't get too far with the skill saw before I found the fasteners. They were from the top. I wasn't looking from the top. I was looking from the bottom and the inside of the cabinet. I should have looked from the top. Now these drawers are they're factory made, so they're very uniform. And they are 27 and 11/16. I've checked several of them, or I checked them all in different places. So to make the drawer glides work, I need 28 and 11/16. And what I have over here is about 1/8 of an inch short, if that much. So hate to knock this whole thing apart and just to try to gain an eighth or 3/30 seconds. So what I'm gonna do is my router will fit in here like this. This is my router base. I'm gonna plow a little groove down each one of these, a 1/16.5 inches deep, and put the drawer glides recessed in there. The drawer glides are only 1 3/4, so it's not that much. And then I can save this carcass, because this carcass is super stout, even though I made it. Well, I kind of made it. These are original, but this is new sides. So I hate to just remake something 1/8 of an inch bigger than what I already have. So I'm gonna lay this on the workbench some kind of way, pull all the little staples, and route it. So I took off my plunge router base because it's a little bulky and put it on a standard base, and I set the depth to 3/30 seconds, a 1/16.5. I'm using actually a dovetail bit because it swings it makes a wide cut, and it's super sharp because it's brand new. So we're gonna go over there and turn some noise into dust. So I've got a guide strip of wood clamped to what will be the bottom when the carcass is stood up, to make sure that the drawer glides all rest at the same elevation above the partition thing, so they'll all be uniform. And after that, I just go to town. Okay, the drawer glides are in. These are pretty saggy, but they don't really do anything except keep the sides separated. The drawer's hanging off of these. And I got the bottom drawer in place. It seems to fit pretty well. It's sitting on 1/4 inch plywood, so if I pull it out carefully enough to pull out the drawer glide, might need a screwdriver, it's under spring tension, and get a screw, then I pull out a little more and get another screw, and then remove the plywood, and we'll see if we did any good with this drawer. Okay, drawer 1 of 6. It operates very well. Full open, it's a lot of space right there. The weight is on the glides, not the old partitions that the weight used to be on. Now it doesn't shut itself, it just feels like it's a little bit tight in the back. But I'm not gonna pull everything apart and try to route just a little bit more for that little feature. That doesn't bother me. I like the way it's good and strong. So I'm gonna take this drawer out, put the cabinet back over there where it goes, prepare and put the other 2 drawers in, kind of scooch it where it goes, and theoretically I could load it back up because I can paint the drawer fronts basically in place. Drawer number 2. Better than the first one. It's not quite as snug, and the automatic closer is working better. I'll take either one. Let's put the last drawer in. I got my plywood down. So I found some handles, which I'm going to throw away because I don't know what they fit and I haven't used them in years. And a cover for a guard for a grinder, don't know which one. I'm throw that away. And a bunch of dull Sawzall blades and a few that are sharp. Even though it's rusty, you can kind of tell if you just rub your finger on here. So yeah, trying to get rid of stuff. Okay, there's probably the same number of ways to do this as there are carpenters, but this is how I do it. Now the drawer is sitting on some 1/4 inch plywood. It's not sitting on the bottom, so that's going to give me some clearance. And I want to pull it out. And I want to pull it out the same on both sides because right now it can wobble around. So let's shoot for 5 inches or 4 3/4. That's a nice number. Okay, so both sides are 4 3/4. Get a screw. Screw on. I'm going to pull the drawer glide out. It's under spring tension. There we go. I'm going to put a screw in it. on the other side and do the same thing. Pull that a little more. So we can see another screw hole through the hardware. Okay, there's one right there. Okay, pull it out some more. And get the third and final screw in there. Alright, in this case, I can pull the plywood out the back. I haven't put the back on yet. The drawer should work pretty darn well. Okay, now that all three drawers are working, or at least the top two are working good. The bottom one's a little snug. That's okay. I'm gonna put the plywood back on. That'll keep it from racking, especially when the drawers get real heavy. I mentioned earlier that it's critical that the cabinet be 1 inch wider than the drawer for these glides to work. And this one works fine. But this one, it's a little too wide. The opening's too big. You see how it locks up? So what I need to do is I'm gonna put cardboard shims behind. I'm gonna put these cardboard shims behind the back of the glide to pull it together a little bit, and then we'll see if it doesn't work. Okay, see that little piece of, it's really not, yeah, it's cardboard, thick paper. One there, and one there, and now the drawer works. And it took me forever to figure this out earlier, so let me show you. So when you open the drawer, you're pulling against these two springs, and you have to pull it hard enough so they catch. Okay, so when you close the drawer, there's something underneath here that does something that releases this catch. See, right now you can push on as hard as you want and it's not gonna go. And this thing catches and it works like magic. However, if this thing is not down far enough to catch whatever it's gonna catch, it doesn't work. See, it's hitting. And that's what the drawers do. Well, it just freed itself. That's what the drawers do if you have this thing spread too far apart. It's got to be smushed in there or it doesn't work. And if your cabinet's too wide, you pull it apart with the screws and it locks up. And I figured that out on this little one because it was too wide and I fought it. Okay, progress. Now these two cabinets will be screwed together and screwed to the wall. I'll put the old tops back on them, and then I'm going to put a new sheet of plywood, so I'll have a doubler. And they got to go that way because the center of the new miter saw is here where the center of the old miter saw is. You can't go this way until I remove this duct, which I'm fixing to do. I don't want to screw them together until I get them into position. I don't know what the position is because I don't know how much room side to side the new miter saw is going to take. So I don't want to screw them. They're already heavy enough with just being single. I'm going to take this ductwork apart and I'm going to sand and paint the drawer fronts. And that's going to be pretty cool. I don't know what color. Something crazy. Before and after. All right, drawers are painted. Cabinets are ready to be installed. But like I say, I can't do that until I get my new miter saw to get some dimensions. Well, one thing's for sure, the new saw is like 10 inches or more. I don't know how much shallower than this one. This saw has the rails that stick out in the back, so I had to allow for it. That pushes the saw way out. And that meant I had to move these cabinets out so I could have some sort of support for longer stuff. But the new saw is going to be pushed way back. These cabinets, I'm going to take these wings off so they can go back. So that, I know that much is going to be an improvement. So I wanted to show you my blast gate for the miter saw dust collection system that is going to go away. It's a slide gate, works perfectly. I got a little groove right here, drop into this. It has been like super problem free. One of the things I've done that has worked. And this is the back end of the curve for the trough right here. I'll have to show you that as I get more stuff taken apart. But yeah, we had some dust under here because it's up on wheels. I took the dust flaps off and now you can see how big this dang saw is. It is almost touching all the way around. Look how far from the back to the front it is. Yeah, this was probably a poor choice on my part for a saw for a shop, but I wanted the big 12-inch, and this is what they had at Home Depot. This hole's from a piece of wood that got weird in the saw and went shooting out. It looked so cool when I was making this, but it did not work worth a flip. And behind the plastic laminate, this is what we had. A curved piece bottom, curved piece top. I even curved a big chunk of wood to fasten a receptacle down. I thought that was pretty special. We encroached into the window just because the saw was so dang big. And now all of this stuff can come out. I'm assuming this cabinet's going to stay put. I need to check, see if it's screwed to the wall or not. Yeah, it's screwed to the wall, so this is going to stay put, at least for now. Everything else could. Okay, we're making progress, but this is where it gets complicated. I have no idea how this is fastened to the wall. Maybe underneath this formica. I'm not sure. I think I might just get a crowbar and go after it. And it's getting crowded in here because all the stuff, I'm just keep pushing it back. And the new miter saw should be here Monday or Tuesday, and then I can get the size for the new miter saw platform, and then I can set these two cabinets and decide what I'm doing over there, I think. And decide what the windows are the main deal. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these windows. I really wish I wouldn't have put them in the building, but I did. I don't know. I have a memory, and it just dawned on me. Before I got this big old monster Bosch saw, I had the DeWalt saw that's over at my foundry right now, kind of like just a backup beater saw. And it didn't have the guide rails or anything, so the cabinet used to be this deep. And then I added on these plywood wings, and I added on plywood for the shelves to bring the cabinet out to fit the monster saw. That makes sense. See where it's all patched up? I think that's what happened, but it's all coming out now. Now this window, I've been going back and forth. I thought it might be neat to have like a little recess cabinet like this one is for my router bits. I don't even remember the history of this one, but I think I'm just going to blank it off. Just have plywood, tabula rasa, I think my wife calls it, just a blank slate. It just tends to collect dirt. It's not really letting in any light. So I'm just gonna shut the window and lock it. I'm not gonna bust that out or anything. And I'm gonna plywood flush with this just all the way across. And probably that will allow me to bring this upper cabinet across. This upper cabinet was very hard to reach when I had the old miter saw because it stuck out so dang far. But the new miter saw won't be so bad. So I don't know, might even come with an upper all the way to here. Go ahead and remove this pipe, which right now isn't doing anything. So yeah, it's a new day. Well, first I'm gonna sweep, and then I'm gonna blank off this window. Okay, we have a win-win-win. One, I finally decided what to do with the window. I closed it in and it's done. Two, I got rid of a partial sheet of OSB that's been hanging around here a long time. And three, I polished off an old can of exterior lumpy paint. So yes, this is good forward progress. Well, my saw arrived, and as soon as I saw the box, I went, oh no, because the box was damaged. I didn't sign for it. They just dropped it off by the house, and I got it to the shop, and I was taking pictures because I knew it was going to be damaged. And sure enough, it had some broken plastic end and a bolt that was sheared off and some other stuff. It was just a mess. It was just stuck in this box with some brown paper. How did anybody expect it not to get damaged? But anyway, so I called the vendor, and to their credit, they were good for it. This is not a new saw. This is a factory rebuilt saw. And he sent me shipping instructions to ship it back, and they're supposed to send me another one, and it didn't even ask for pictures. I took all these pictures and didn't even ask. He just assumed that it was damaged. So, but I was able to get the measurements off of it, so that's a big step. Executive decision. I'm going to close in this pair of windows with the exception of this little square so I can have the exhaust fans where they are. The cat can go in a window in another room. And this is what led me to this decision. This wall pretty much needs bottom cabinets because it's where the miter saw goes, and you need to support this, the overhanging stuff from the miter saw. This wall doesn't necessarily have to have bottom cabinets. If you're going to have bottom cabinets, you ought to have upper cabinets because you can't use the top half of the wall anyway. So if I put bottom cabinets and upper cabinets on this wall, I can probably get rid of the upper cabinets on this wall. They're not totally full. And maybe one or more of these roll around cabinets. We'll see. But anyway, I'm going to close in this window. That's a done deal. I got half the trim off of it already. I'm about to get the rest of it off. I'm going to have to go buy a whole sheet of plywood, because I don't have anything that big, but that's not a problem. I'm getting ready to cut up the last piece of the office table top that I acquired years ago. And I've used it, all three of these tops are that same material. I've used it around. It's not the best stuff in the world. It's just, I don't know, hardboard, basically. But I'm gonna cut it small enough where I can work it with the table saw. Oh, because I'm replacing this where the two fans are hanging out the window because it's kind of wonky and it's not straight, and even by my standards it's pretty sad. So we're just going to make a new one of those. I didn't realize that this stuff is thicker than the original. I thought they were cut from the same thing, so I couldn't get it in without knocking one of the boards off that I just put up there. So backwards a little bit, but I'll get it back on. So it's in there now. If I can get it out, I can cut the two holes, and I'm going to paint it and then put it back. We got the new and improved fan base mounted and painted, stuck in the hole. The top is fixed because I nailed this after the fact. The bottom, I'm going to need a little piece of wood to keep the bottom from getting kicked in. But I've got the plywood cut. That's going to cover the whole thing. We'll put it up. What are the chances of it fitting? First try, 50-50. Now that I know what I want to do, I can go ahead and build this upper. So I'll put the end frame. I got it screwed into the corner. Well, I got it shot with nails into the corner. I got a couple of little boards out of the garbage for braces. And I have nothing for shelves, so that means I'm gonna have to pull out my second brand new sheet and rip it on the table saw. It's always a challenge handling a full sheet, but we'll get it done. Upper cabinet number one. We're ready for face frames. But I think I'm gonna do all the face frames at one time. I think it'd be more efficient. But I'm gonna paint it. I'm gonna paint those shelves. I got white paint and I got a wet roller. What the heck? Simple as it can be. I put a intermediate brace here and it's screwed to the wall because this is it's a pretty long span for 3/4 plywood. So yeah, other than that, it's just as simple as it can be. So I'm gonna paint it right now. Look what I found. This is a bevel guide for my Bosch hand planer. Cut bevels. Who knew? I didn't know I had that. This cabinet takes sketchiness to a new level. I can't decide if it was built on the ground or built here. I think maybe some sort of combination of both. But it's coming down. Okay, I'm gonna build this in 2 halves, probably in place like I did the one yesterday. And I think one of them's gonna end where this outrigger that holds up this big shelf. So I'll just put it to the side of that, and it's something that's terribly not square, so I need to look at that. And I'll build this one out, and then I'll fill in this one. I need this plywood. So that's a wrap. Simple as it can be. I use mostly old stuff except for the 2 shelf boards are new. And now I'm gonna do this little spot. But before I do, I need to brace this plywood. It spans the whole way and it's sagging a little bit. So I'm gonna put another 2x like above it where I can fasten it, and that way I can put some timber back here to keep all that stuff kind of sealed up the shelves. Other than that, it's gonna be kind of the same thing. So yesterday I received from my son a dust deputy that I had given to him a long time ago, and he just gave it back. And I'm going to use this on the dust collection system for the new miter saw. I also received the drawer glides for these drawers, so I can work on that. I also received parts for both chainsaws, so I can work on that. I also received, in a very crappy box, my miter saw, and it's broken. And it could be expected. It's got cracked plastic here and here and here, and it's got a broken screw, which I don't know where it goes. It's got a rubber bumper. I don't know where that goes. It was just packaged here. It was basically just in a big box. So anyway, I'm gonna send it back, and they're gonna send me another one. No questions asked. I said, just send me this thing, and I'll swap it out. But that's not how they operate. They said no. So anyway, enough yammering on. Before I send it back, I have it so I can get my critical measurements from it, so I can proceed, even without the saw, to build a stand for it and get these cabinets set. So I'm gonna do some ciphering this morning. This is the wooden platform for the old miter saw. It still has some dust collection blocks glued on, and I don't wanna knock them off because I don't wanna wake up the neighbors, but it is, it's 2 layers thick, so I'm going to use this and just cut it down a bunch for the new saw. Well, I think that was pretty easy. So I established the back wall will be right here, and this part doesn't tilt, just this part, so that's cool. And the ducts, the vacuum stuff comes off the top, except for the that bag's not going to work, but I'm not going to use the bag. So cut off everything from here back. And then sideways, front ways, kind of kept this little curve. I thought it was kind of neat. This was actually the back with the other saw, because this was a dust collection port, or the dust knot collection port. So this thing swings really far, 60 degrees both ways, which is a lot farther than the other saw. So it needs a little bit wider than I was guessing. So I just right angled to here. This is the front of the 2-foot cabinet. So I came over until I hit the front. So I'm going to cut this line, and the same on the other line, on the other side. Swing 60 degrees. So yes, the knob cuts it pretty close. Now I'm gonna have a weird little deal because the front of the cabinet's here, and I'm cutting it here. So I'm gonna have a little triangle I'll have to get creative with. But I like this. I like this curve front. Yeah, I like this. So it'll be quite a bit narrower, not as deep, deeper than I thought it'd be. But yeah, and I got plenty of Formica. I can patch this side with Formica. Get rid of these sharp corners. Have a cool little curve in the front. So now I can box this thing back up, and they will let me know when they're coming to get it. Sad. Now that the drawers are drying, I can flip the old top over. This went underneath the old miter saw. Boom. And try to get these off. I think they're glued. I don't think they're screwed, but I don't really know. And then cut it on those marks that I made, and then I can measure the wall, and then I can scoot those cabinets over to the right and screw them to the wall and screw them together and screw them together and put the permanent top on. So man, I can get to work now. And plus mount this, make a stand to get this at the right elevation, 4 inches down from the permanent top of those two. Unfortunately, there were some long screws from the top under the Formica, so I had to peel the Formica off, but I might try to put it back. But anyway, let's get those little blocks off. Okay, the blocks are off, and they left some ugliness, but one, it's on the bottom, and 2, we can patch that up, and a lot of this will go away when I cut the other side. Okay, so now that I know how wide the platform for the miter saw is going to be, put it on the wall. Half of the distance is here. So this edge of this cabinet needs to be here, and this edge of this cabinet needs to be here. Everything has to go that way. I don't think I can move it with all these tools in it. It's really heavy, so I'm going to empty it out. And I need to take the top drawer out anyway to put screws. So well, let's start to move. All right, recording with my phone. I don't know whether I'll be able to use this. My phone and my computer have not been getting along. But anyway, the two cabinets are screwed to the wall and screwed together and leveled and shimmed as best as I can. I had to raise this side with 1/8 of an inch of wood. I'm gonna put the old two tops back on. I'm gonna let them hang over the front maybe an inch, because I like having something to clamp to for whatever reason. I don't like having a flush top, and that'll make a crack in the back, but I can fill that with whatever, and then I'm gonna put a full new sheet on top, so it'll be double. And then this cabinet's kind of done. I have the, this is the bottom for the miter saw, or the table for the miter saw. I'm gonna sand it and see if I don't have some formica to put on it. Yeah, doing good here. This is what happens when you don't plan your shop well. You get this corner and it just fills up with dirt and trash because it's a corner. I gotta get this out of here so I can build the cabinets across. Briefly considered keeping these 3 carcasses and taking off the wheels and putting them on a base frame and trying to make them work. Well, more than briefly, I considered it for a while, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna, too many things don't work. I'm just gonna empty everything out of them. I don't know where I'm gonna put it for now. And I'm gonna take them all apart and we're gonna start fresh. We're gonna start fresh from the miter saw stand to the corner. And all those uppers are coming down too, but I don't have to do that right now. Second thought, third thought, fourth thought, I will save these carcasses. These are built better than what I'm doing these days. So I'll just need to make a toe kick to set them on. This one, and in the middle, I will cut down this one. I'll take it apart so I can keep my router table top. Might use that one day. Okay. Yeah, this is gonna save me a lot of time reusing these. Found some kind of jig I made for something. I don't have a clue. Toe kick is fabricated. Hopefully it'll fit. Hopefully the elevation is right. That's the most critical thing. So it doesn't need a top because these cabinets have a 3/4 inch bottom. So we're gonna set them up there and level them up and screw them to the wall. Yeah, that was a good decision keeping these because this was super easy and they're well made and everything's lovely. I did cut this back so that that middle top, which will be the middle top, will just drop into here. Hopefully it's gonna be kind of close. And this was just a little bit low. I slid a piece of cardboard under there, but none of these tops are glued. They're only screwed. So when I do get my miter saw back and I need to make some adjustments, I can take the tops off and do what I gotta do. So now I need to take this cabinet apart and cut the top to fit in this hole. And whoever made this before did a good job of mixing up screw head types. We have Phillips, we have square, we have slotted, and occasional Torx, not too many Torx because this was back in the day. So I'm returning the favor for the next guy. I'm using what we got. I wanted to go to the Home Depot this morning and buy some, but I don't know, I just got sucked into this and I haven't left yet. One way to disassemble a carcass that is nailed and glued without destroying all the wood, you just cut the joints off. Just be careful you have it set up where you don't hit nails or hit too many nails. Not only was there dust under this one, there was a whole glue bottle. This material I'm making the tops with is, it's okay, it has its advantages, but its big disadvantage is it soaks up water. Look, this is the same material. It was in the back of my truck. It got rained on last night. Look at it. So I've made a couple of cuts to the tops. I gotta go seal them up right now before I forget. Seal them from moisture. This is pretty liberating. A half of a bucket full of worn sanding discs, flap discs, grinding discs, and cutoff discs, all going in the garbage. before I removed this 4-way switch, I took some pictures in a vain attempt to get the wires back in the correct spot. And I did, first try. Last several hours I've spent taking this cabinet apart as much as I could. It was loaded up with stuff. A lot of it I've moved over here temporarily. Some of it, no, that's not stuff. Yeah, I've moved everything out. A lot of it's just scattered around the shop. This is a mess. I knocked off the shell so it wouldn't be so heavy. I knocked off the face frame. I pulled out a duct pipe for the vacuum system that went through it. I pulled out this 4-way switch that controls the vacuum system. I hope I can get it wired back like it was. I don't do many 4-way switches. And I had a stereo in here with speaker wires, and I got all that out. I got this little storage thing off the end wall that had the plastic doors on it, and it's ready to come down. But the rest of it's going to come down in one piece, and I think it's kind of heavy. So it does have a ledger on the bottom, so I think if I carefully unscrew the top and then climb down off the ladder, I can lean it away from the wall. And if it falls, it falls. It's not going to fall on me. So might be a good thing to film, I don't know. I have 2 screws left, the 2 in the middle cleat. Definitely loose. One more screw. Sitting on that little bitty ledger. Easy peasy. I don't know why there's a hole in the wall. I don't remember doing that. Oh, I bet it was for air conditioner. That at one time was going to be my clean paint room. When I was into varnishing a lot of boat parts, I bet that was going to be an air conditioner. But it is no more. Okay, I'm just going to knock this thing apart and save the wood. Sunday morning, I was kind of hoping today to start on face frames. I need face frames before I can make doors for both these and uppers and lowers. Down here I want to add a shelf and maybe a drawer here before I do the face frames. And before I can do the face frames, I need to plug this hole or my dust collection will work even worse than it works now. And I need to rewire this 4-way switch because that's going to keep the blower from coming on. So I think I might do the switch first, and I might move it from down there to maybe up there. I think that cabinet's going to stay forever. So Yeah, we got lots to do. There's a lot of things I can do without making noise. Oh, the main thing is I can't make face frames until I have a workshop. And right now I don't have a workshop. I just got a pile of junk. So I need to sort, pitch, store a lot of stuff. This little box, which is full of miscellaneous sandpaper, I made when we lived at the other house, maybe 30 years ago. I made 3 of them. They're all still in use. I may make a bunch of these to help my situation with sorting stuff, because Lord knows I got enough scrap wood for sure. Well, I made some progress this morning. I put in the last 2 shelves. I'm not sure if I'm gonna put drawers in here or not, but I did clear off this bench and the table saw and most of this bench. I did find that as time went on, this is about 3 hours worth of work. I was getting sloppier and sloppier about saving stuff and where to put stuff. And then when I got to the electrical doodads, I just crashed because I couldn't decide. Too many decisions. So it's time to go eat lunch and take a nap. But anyway, when I come back, we're gonna start on face frames on the uppers. On second thought, let's make that a new video. Let's end this one right here. It's getting awfully long. Thanks for watching. Next video is doors and face frames. And maybe a drawer. I don't know if I'm gonna add a drawer or not. Okay, thanks for watching.